Biso Sport is here. Biso, what is the podcast called?
First 11 Sports. Sanbonani, Abusheni, Dumelang.
He scored what?
5 goals in 5 years for Brazil.
In how many games?
It's about 35 games.
No. Let's go to Ulisa. Ulisa's here in Johannesburg.
I'm very happy with the guy. He gave us stats that's absolutely brilliant, bro.
In AFL, the league and Champions League, they've played 35 games in those competitions. They've scored 59 goals. They've only conceded 14. So,
Jeez, that's an incredible stat. As I must tell you, I'm looking at Biso right now. This is all in his head. He's not reading any of this. It's all on the top of his head. Yeah. Go for it.
Sanbonani, and welcome to Biso Sports Stats. The concept of this platform is very simple. There's no big production, there's no big cameras. I don't even have a microphone, which is why the sound isn't that great. But the idea behind it is to jump on here from time to time and make sure that I give you guys as much information as I have about certain matches, certain players, teams, leagues. Sometimes it might not even be about football per se. It might be a different sport altogether. But I'll make sure that you find all the information right here. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into the first game that we're going to be touching on this little venture that you and I are embarking on over here. And that game is KAIZER Chiefs versus MAMELODI SUNDOWNS this weekend at FNB Stadium in the Carling Knockout Cup quarterfinals. Now, KAIZER Chiefs and MAMELODI SUNDOWNS have faced each other 6 times since 2008 in cup competitions. That 2008 game was an MTN 8 final that KAIZER Chiefs won 1-0. The next time they faced each other was in a quarterfinal in the TKO, and again, KAIZER Chiefs won that 1-0. But in the 4 cup matches or 4 cup ties that they've had since then, MAMELODI SUNDOWNS has come out victorious 4 times. The first of those was in 2012. The second of them was a final in the TKO in 2015. And then again, they faced each other in 2021 and again in 2023, where that was a 2-legged tie in the MTN 8 semifinals. And if you remember correctly, that game ended a little controversially. There was a penalty that was supposed to be a penalty but wasn't given. There was a lot of controversial decisions in that game, but an entertaining game nonetheless. Now, if we move away from their history in terms of cup games and look at the last 12 games that they've played against each other, KAIZER Chiefs has only managed to beat Sundowns once in the last 12 games. Sundowns, on the other hand, has beaten KAIZER Chiefs 9 times in the last 12 games, and 2 of those games have ended in draws. That's a wild stat for KAIZER Chiefs. What will be consolation, though, is the fact that people always expect Sundowns to blow KAIZER Chiefs away because they are such a dominant team in South African football. But KAIZER Chiefs always manages to step up whenever they face MAMELODI SUNDOWNS. Now, that was referenced in the last game that we saw between these 2 teams in the league. And Sundowns came out of that game with a 2-1 victory. Now, a lot of people thought that was a controversial game because of some offsides here and there, some disallowed goals here and there. But if we look at the stats for that game, Sundowns had 60% of the ball and they created 10 shots at goal. KAIZER Chiefs, on the other hand, had 40% of the ball but created 12 shots at goal. So with less of the ball, KAIZER Chiefs managed to create more opportunities. And we saw Ronan Williams pull off some incredible saves in that second half. Now, another stat that probably shows how dangerous KAIZER Chiefs was on the day, especially in that second half, is the fact that with 40% of possession, they still managed to only commit 10 fouls. Now, MAMELODI SUNDOWNS, on the other hand, with 60% of possession, committed 25 fouls in that game. So that just goes to show the fact that as much as KAIZER Chiefs had less of the ball, whenever they did have the ball, they got into positions dangerous enough for MAMELODI SUNDOWNS players to feel like, you know what, I need to stop him here. Now, if we look at the goal scoring stats for these 2 teams in this season, KAIZER Chiefs has played 5 games, and in those 5 games, they've scored 10 goals. What's interesting with that is the fact that Gaston Sirino has scored 2 of those goals and had 3 assists. So 5 of the goals at the very least have come from his boot. And it'll be interesting now to see whether KAIZER Chiefs are able to get him on song for him to be able to influence play, or if the other players in the team are going to step up and make sure that it's not a case of Gaston Sirino getting the goals only, but it's the whole team contributing to that. Now, if you look at the other side of the coin, in terms of what Sundowns has been able to do from a goal-scoring point of view this season, they've played 11 games and they've scored 24 goals. Now, what I'm not going to do is give you guys a prediction, but what I am going to guarantee you is that this game, this weekend, is going to be absolute fireworks.